Hi there and welcome back, Citizen. So this is a follow-up video to the Star Citizen First Impressions video that I made a couple of days ago. And again, I'll try and keep this one brief. So I played version 4 again today and I've got a couple of observations. It only crashed out twice and I was playing for around 90 minutes, which was significantly better than what I had before. I've stopped attempting to do the tutorial and I've just jumped straight into the game. And weirdly, the performance seems to be slightly better compared to when doing the tutorial. There was one weird bug where I had recalled my ship in the hangar and another ship then got spawned in at the same time, but other than that it was a good experience. And it was the first time that I got to see the Intrepid ship that I'd purchased, and for what it's worth, it looks absolutely amazing. So all in all, it was a better experience. So why am I doing this video? Well, the previous video generated a lot more interest than what I was anticipating. I got a lot of feedback via the comments, which I think deserves a response. So firstly, what I'd say is thanks for all the feedback. It's much appreciated, even maybe the sort of feedback that could be considered to be of a more negative persuasion. I do appreciate people actually taking time out of their day to, come back with their thoughts and views. And, this is one of the reasons why to do these sorts of videos. So genuinely, thank you. I guess the feedback, I'm going to put into one of three categories. Firstly, there was feedback around what I felt or thought about the tutorial experience. There was feedback regarding me reviewing Star Citizen during a big period of change to the game environment. And then there was some feedback generally around comparing Star Citizen against Elite Dangerous, where one's in a state of development and one's a fully released game. So I wanted to tackle those points at a high level. So firstly, the feedback regarding the tutorial experience. So essentially what people were saying is, look, the game's in the state of early development or development, the experiences are likely to change, so there's no point them putting in-depth tutorials, as they'd probably have to end up redoing them all the time. I think that is a fair point. So yes, I agree. Look, my view is that, these games, obviously, and I was at the time I was comparing it to Elite Dangerous, which obviously is fully established, and the tutorials there have changed over the years, and Elite Dangerous's sort of experience isn't perfect. It's lacking in a lot of areas. It's one of the reasons why I did a sort of beginner series of tutorials for Elite Dangerous on my channel. It's because Frontier haven't given new players nearly enough kind of get started properly. So I think tutorials in these sorts of games are really important because they have such a big steep learning curve to them. But yeah, look, I take your point that there's no point in them releasing tutorials if they have to keep redoing them every 5 minutes. So the second category of feedback that I got was essentially around the fact that I was reviewing Star Citizen during a big period of change to the game environment, mainly that version 4 had just been released. And you know what, that's fair enough, I was. What people were basically saying was that because version 4 had just been released, obviously it had introduced a whole load of new bugs, it was an experimental test build, etc. And yeah, that's all fair. I would say this though, in my review I did say that I'd spent 50% of my time reviewing version 3.2.4 and half my time in version 4. And as I said in the review, actually I found version 4 to be more stable. It certainly seemed to perform better on my machine and just generally had less issues. So I can see already, even with it being an experimental test build, that it seemed to be better overall than version 3.2.4. So, obviously, thanks for that kind of feedback. I should have made it perhaps a bit clearer in the review that it was obviously during a period of big change for the game environment. But generally, I think 4 is, certainly from what I can see, certainly more stable. And then the last category of feedback really was sort of people sort of saying I really shouldn't be comparing Star Citizen against Elite Dangerous. One's in a state of development and one's been a fully released game. And I can see why people would sort of have issues with me doing that. I'd say I'm coming at this from a perspective of, coming from one game and coming across into another. And, both Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen are both part of the same genre. They're both space sim MMOs. And there's a lot of similarities between them. Both were announced in 2012. Both have a degree of pedigree from their predecessors. And both companies that develop each game, they've gone down very different delivery paths. And I guess what I was trying to do was look at it from that kind of perspective. I'm certainly not here to criticise Star Citizen, from an overall perspective. I think I can see the potential in the game. It clearly is going to offer a very in-depth experience that will be, in a lot of respects, very different to Elite Dangerous. And, I'm not here to sort of say to pick one side over the other. I think there's space, certainly in my games library, for both games. And, I'm looking forward to 2025 and seeing what happens with Star Citizen. And to all of those who welcome me to the community, then I do appreciate that. There's a lot of either ex or current Elite Dangerous commanders who were very positive about me coming into the community. And look, I just want to say thank you. It's nice to feel welcome. I'm looking forward to interacting with you guys throughout the year. Those who offered to assist with the the guide experience and things around control bindings, etc., and those who offered some thoughts on hardware already, then it's much appreciated. I will try and get round to responding to everyone who has responded and commented on the video over the next week or so. In terms of what's next then, so look, I'm going to be checking in on Star Citizen over the next few weeks, see how the experience goes as version 4 settles down. And I intend to post another video about this, towards the end of January. In the meantime, I'm going to do a separate video on my current PC setup. And I'm going to basically ask people for their advice on what I should do around hardware upgrades. I want to do it as a separate video so that it's basically easier for me to sort through the comments. And look, I'm going to hope I can get that in the next week or so. So in the meantime, look, I'll say Happy New Year to everyone. I wish you all the very best for 2025. And in the meantime, I need a new signing off phrase for my Star Citizen videos. And it seems to be that people say, see you in the verse. So, thanks everyone. I'll see you in the verse, citizens.